episode 50 of Strange Brow Radio. I am your host again, Tobe Johnson, and today we are offering a little bit of a class for people to be involved with. And I brought in a prior guest. Michelle Freed, our remote viewing guest, is going to tell you more about what she's offering and how to get involved with it. So if you're slightly interested in the idea of your inner psychic, well, Michelle's the voice, so she's going to tell you more about that in a second. But thank you again to our sponsor, Feral by Aaron at Etsy.com. You guys came through during the holidays, and that makes a world of difference for the show and for her small business. So we appreciate that very, very much. Happy New Year and belated holiday wishes to everybody. We'll be right back and tell you more about Michelle Freed and remote viewing. Michelle Freed was a prior guest about 7 episodes back, and from that particular interview, if you remember the episode entitled Remote Patrol, there you'll find Michelle is working hand in hand with a syndicated radio show called Midnight in the Desert with some of the old crew from Art Bell's show, and she's doing gangbuster work there and working in the marketing and producing the show. But shoot, her passion is something entirely different, although not totally different. She is headlong into the world of remote viewing. And so when she was on here, she gave us the full scoop on the history of remote viewing and her interest in it and how to do it. But that got me thinking, and it got her thinking, like, well, I don't know how to do it, and I don't know if any of you guys know how to do it, and ladies, but this is your chance. Michelle is offering a class, and I thought, well, let's get her back on here, tell us more about when the class is, what to expect, and how to sign up for it. But that's not all. There is a way to practice remote viewing now. And so we offer you a crash course into how to remote view. And if you come close to the mark from your tasker, which is Michelle, then there will be a first place prize. And I'll let Michelle do all the explaining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this interview with Michelle Freed and her remote viewing ways. I'm here today with Michelle Freed, who you've heard previously on Strange Brow Radio. Thanks for calling in. And Michelle, you've got some news here. You and I have been talking off the radar about some plans that you have ahead, teaching remote viewing, which you've done successfully for years. So that is starting up in 2020, and I wanted to give you the opportunity here to talk a little bit about that, and then some surprises attached to your class.
Oh, great. Thanks. It's good to be here. And yeah, for 2020, I am starting our first session of the year, which is a 6-week course starting on January 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we meet on Zoom. So you could be all over the world, doesn't matter where you are, and we can connect that way. And then each week, we learn a different phase of remote viewing. And I'd like to do a lot of experiential, where you actually hands-on work, where you're going to do a lot of sessions. So I'll talk a little bit in the beginning, and then we have a lot of fun activities, just playing around with kind of our intuition and abilities, and lots of exercises, things like that. And then we'll work on sessions, and then you get session from week to week, kind of like an assignment over the
Hmm.
week, and then we discuss it the next week. So it's a 6-week course, and you can get more information about it on butterflyeffectcenter.com, which is my website. And then under remote viewing, you can register there. And if you sign up by January 10th, it will be for $410. And but after that, it goes up to $450. So yeah, so I hope that a lot of people will do it, and I'm available if you have any more questions about it. You can email me or fill out the contact form on the website, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so let's talk about remote viewing just for a second here, because $450 is hard for some people to justify coming up
Mm-hmm.
with. But for what you're offering here, let's say I'm someone thinking about this, but I'm wondering, I don't feel intuitive in my daily life. No one's ever said that about me. I just don't think I'd be cut out for learning remote viewing. Tell the people why that statement, is generally wrong.
Yeah, remote viewing. Remote viewing is really everybody has the ability to do it. In fact, our government, backtracking, had a program called Stargate, and what they did was research, and they found that everybody can do it. It's just a kind of like RV. Remote viewing is an in-depth protocol, basically a structure, a way that you can put information down on paper, and it will take about an hour or so. And you follow a specific protocol, which taps into your subconscious and can extrapolate information. So, in a sense, you're projecting your subconscious to a location and gathering information that you wouldn't normally be able to do in your, with your in your awake state, I guess you could say. Um, so so we kind of, it's another tool for your toolbox, I guess I could
Hmm.
say. We have used it to help find missing people. We help the police department and detectives. And there are even people that hire us for treasure hunts. Um, and then you can go really crazy, I guess you could say crazy, and search for Bigfoot. It's really helpful when you're looking for a location. I once had, I was hired to help find a missing person, and what we were able to do is triangulate an area of where this person could be. And remote viewing allows you to do that. There's a portion in it called mapping where you can do that. And that's why it works with a location or even a treasure hunt. There's also people that are using it for archaeology. So basically you're using your senses in your body to perceive information. And so basically, that's a short way to describe what it is. Even to the simple thing of missing keys. Um, like if you misplaced your keys or, something, in your daily life that you want to find answers to. People will even hire us to locate a wedding ring that they were missing, and we can locate that. So it's kind of very useful, and you can also ask personal questions. For example, what will I be doing in 15 minutes? you can remote view that. So
Wow.
anything that you have a question about, you can really use this process to find the answer.
Right, and you weren't born a remote viewer. You yourself started from the beginning, and eventually you had a teacher. and now you've kind of flown off on your own and done your own things. So is that the opportunity that these people have if they sign up, is eventually they'll be able to do this without you?
Oh, absolutely. By the end of the class, you will. And
Mm.
I'm really looking for people for operational targets where we get hired and paid to do this. I don't think a lot of people are making, except for the ex-military guys that have been doing it for a long time, probably can do it full time, but it is a nice mama needs a new pair of shoes money. But a lot of people, believe it or not, are hiring us to even look at their financials in big businesses. They'll call and ask, can you help us, make a decision financially? Sometimes we can work on stocks. Are they going to go up or down? There's a whole bunch of people. There's a whole market for it.
Mhm.
And then there's the other side where you're getting intel about cold cases or crimes or missing people. So I'm really looking for a team to put together where we will get paid to do it. The thing about remote viewing is it takes a lot of practice, and not everybody's into all the practice, but it definitely is worth it. It is said, people have said it's like a martial art.
Right, you're exercising a part of your brain that for some people has probably never really been tapped into. So you don't really know, folks, what you're missing until you try this. And if you want to learn more about the deeper story of Michelle and her involvement with remote viewing, you can go to episode 43, only 7 episodes back, and take a listen to our remote patrol episode. And I shall get into more detail surrounding all that stuff there. Now, you also mentioned that you want to make things interesting for folks that are thinking of wanting to try this out. So I'm going to let you take it away with your show and tell you want to offer.
Okay, so one of the things that I realized when I talk to everyday people about remote viewing, where they will come up to me and say, what is this? What do you do? And I try to explain it like I did just now. And I find that I fall short in explaining. And I started thinking about it, and I realized the only way that anybody can understand remote viewing is for them to experiment or experience it. So I put together an experiment where I can give you a quick and dirty explanation of it, and then we have a little experiment or contest. And that's what I asked Tobe if we could do on his show. And we also have done it in the past on Midnight in the Desert, and it has been quite a success. In fact, people are always asking us to do it again. So I'm going to proceed to give you a little explanation. And keep in mind that, again, this is just the short version. Remote viewing is a long process that is a layered effect, and it's designed to get you deeper in and more focused onto a target, and we use more complicated targets. So what we're going to do today is I've chosen a target, and I'm going to give you some points of what you can do, and then I'd like you to submit your session. And we have a deadline, which is January 10th. And then you will get your feedback on January 11th. But Tobe and I are going to come back and announce winners. So that winners will be the people that are closest to the target. So
Right,
that's
and
the
I'm going to
plan.
do it along with you and everybody else here. So I don't know what she's about to do.
Right.
In fact, I'm as new as everybody else, perhaps listening to this. So explain it as though I'm a Cro-Magnon, and let's
Okay.
let's see what you got for us, Michelle.
Okay, great. Yes, that's right. I haven't told you what the target is, except for that it's a really good one. Um, so, so the first thing you need is a pen and paper. So you want to usually computer paper, nothing with lines on it. And generally, we do not use the back of the paper. We just use the front. Um, and in remote viewing, we do a cool down. We start the session with a cool down. Just relax your body. And it's really important for you to set aside any inhibiting thoughts or emotions. And because they get in your way, what we want to do is suspend your analytical mind, because what happens is we judge ourselves all the time. And we have to release the idea of being right or wrong. And as humans, we feel like we need to be right or wrong. It's a human nature for everything to make sense, and we need to basically surrender that need and just allow the information to flow through you. And so that is really important. So in the cool down, we just get to that place where we just set those things aside. And one of the ways you can do it is if something comes to your mind, like, oh, I'm feeling we call it fear of failure. So you'll write down at the very, very top of your paper, you'll write fear of failure. And I'll tell you where to put that, because it's also how we set up the paper is important too. But for this point, you're going to end up writing fear of failure, and then just drop your pen. And by dropping your pen, it's symbolizing that you're kind of dropping that thought or that emotion. We want to kind of have a clean slate so things don't bleed into the session. So that's the first thing to do. So, and this cool down really can take 5 to 10 minutes. It's not like a big hour meditation or anything like that. It's really just a way to trigger your body that, okay, this is remote viewing time, and I'm going to set aside all my issues, the bills that come, or my kids screaming, or anything like that. You just want to set it aside. In remote viewing, we use a number, and the person, which is me, the tasker, what I do is I associate a random number to the target. And basically, it's something that we focus on. It's the focus point. And what I do on my end is I will, on a piece of paper, it's like the secret tasking, the secret intention of what I want everyone to do. And I'll write it, or I'll actually type it onto the computer, and I save a file. And that you don't see. But what you will see is the number that I assign it to. And it's almost like you charged up the number with everything that you need to know. And you're dialing into that number, and you're going to open up your subconscious, you're going to open up your intuition or psychic, whatever word you want to use, and just let information flow through you. But what's really important is you need to use your senses, all of your senses, to pick up this information. It's important that you focus on any kind of perceptions. Like you want to prompt yourself, like, what do I hear? What sounds do I hear? What do I taste? What do I feel physically and emotionally? What do I see? Do I smell anything? And then you want to notice anything that pops up in your mind, like colors, shapes, textures. What size is it? Is it hot? Is it cold? Hard? Soft? Fluids? Anything. And you're going to start a column on your paper, on the left-hand side of the paper, and you're just going to write these words. And it's going to seem like nothing makes sense. And when you're feeling like nothing makes sense, then you're doing a good job. So you just start a column. So let me just go back and explain how the paper is set up. So you start on the right-hand side on the top corner, like when you were in school and you had to write your name on the paper. So at the very top, you'll put your name and then your date and then the time that you start the session, including time zone. And then under the time, you write down your we call it set aside. So you set aside any kind of emotions that you feel are kind of bleeding in or that will inhibit your session. So you do that. And you just kind of write them, you drop your pen. And then on the left-hand side, all the way on the left-hand side, you're going to write the target number. And after that, you'll notice that something will just kind of like maybe a flash of information will come. And you'll start writing a column of words down on the right-hand side. So you could say, red. Okay, the color red. Oh, it smells sweet. Oh, it's shiny. And you just keep going down. And if you get an image or some kind of something else that you feel like you need to sketch it out, then just in the middle of the page, just sketch out any kind of shape or form that you feel like you need to draw. And you don't need to be an artist. Stick figures are fine. The idea is that we keep it in low-level perception or concepts. We want just to describe something. So, for example, I think I use an apple all the time. How would you describe an apple without using the concept that it's a fruit or an apple? If you pull your lens out and just focus it on the apple from the perspective of your senses, how would you describe that? You would say smooth. It feels smooth. It feels cold. It smells, it smells sweet. It tastes, you can even in your mind taste the apple. I think my mouth is watering right now, just imagining an apple. But you can imagine biting into the apple in your mind. It's like it's real. And you can prompt yourself, okay, if you're feeling like, well, one of the things that the military guys, when they trained us, it's kind of cute. They'll say, slap the target. It's like, well, because you want to know the feel of it. So in your mind, you want to slap the target. Like, is it hard? Is it soft? Is it wooden? Is it metallic? Lick the target. They'll say, lick the target. And we think it's all funny. But the truth is that it does work and it does help. One thing, like if you perceive water, and you want to know if the water is the ocean or a river or a lake, you do in your mind, you taste the water. And if you get salty, then usually it's the ocean. If you get kind of a sweet metallic or mineral kind of taste, it could be a river or a lake or something like that. And then you could also ask yourself, is this a large body of water, a small body of water? That is very helpful when you're looking for a location. Is it something near the beach and the ocean? Is it something, of a smaller body of water? All these very details will help in locating something or giving us more information. And the most important thing is to stay low level concepts. And because if you start adding bigger concepts, then you start building a story. You start tapping into your analytical part of your mind. And we want to really engage our outer worldly mind. We want to use that intuition that we have and and use those senses to perceive things. One of the just really quickly is that how our mind works. If you trust yourself that you will get the information, that's what you have to do. You need to trust yourself. The thing is that the way we live, perceive, or even survive in the world is by processing information with our five senses. And that's when things are right in front of us. In remote viewing, we're asking you to step outside and perceive things that are not in front of us. And you need to just trust that you can do that. Trust it, and the more you trust it and let the information come, the more successful you will be. Let's see. I want to make sure I cover it all. I guess I would just say, to take the leap of faith and trust your senses, because your body knows. And then when you get to the end of the session, you want to right end in the right-hand bottom corner of your paper, and then mark the time that you ended. So in review, just really quick, you do a cool down to get out of your thinking mind state. You want to open up your subconscious. Write your administrative, we call it, on the right-hand side of the paper with your name, date, and time. Do your set-asides. And then on the left side, you'll write your target number. And then a column of perceptions. You can draw your sketches. If you feel like you're running out of information, just take your pen and tap on the target number, and then more information will come. It's kind of a way to connect back to the number. And then if you'd like, at the end, you can write a little summary of what you kind of feel the target is, and then mark your end of session at the end. And then we just have, if you can turn those in by January 10th, and the 3 closest to the target will win prizes. So, Tobe, do you want to give your email address?
Yeah, just real quick here to touch up on some things here that I just want to make sure I understood as far as didactically taking care of this. On the left-hand column is going to be our target number, and you're not going to give that to us. Is that correct, or you are?
Yes, at the end. I'm going to, right before we end, I will give you your target number.
Okay. And then on a single piece of paper, we're doing all this. We shouldn't be going through piles of reams of computer paper, correct?
Well, for this session, because usually our sessions could be about, it depends. Some people can do 20 pages when you're doing the whole entire protocol. But for this, it's just 1 or 2 pieces of paper, and then number your paper too, just so that it makes sense, which is the first and second that you did. For this, quick and dirty kind of session, 1 page is enough. And then it's kind of set up the way I described, which, and the reason, just really quick, is on the right-hand side, it's kind of coordinates with the left brain, and the left-hand side coordinates with the right brain. So we kind of set up the paper how your brain works. So,
and on the left-hand side, underneath the target number, we're putting through the essence of the target. Are we doing anything besides writing our name and date and time on the right-hand side? I thought you said maybe the colors go on the right.
No. So on the right-hand side, you have your name, date, the time, and then under that, you're going to write your set aside, like any emotions. Like if I'm feeling sad, and then you drop your pen. Boom. You want to get rid of that. I'm feeling nervous, or I'm feeling judgmental. I'm feeling stressed out. Whatever.
Distracted.
Even if you're feeling
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then you drop your pen as a symbol that I'm dropping that emotion.
So each time
So
you
that we
write
start with
something out, you drop your pen.
right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it's all
Yeah.
about symbolism here. You're kind of supercharging symbolism as a technique for us to kind of ground ourselves in the reality that
Hmm.
there is substance to symbolism. You've supercharged a number, for example, with the essence of this target.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's right. It's when I say charge, it's really the same as intention. The
Mhm.
number is surrounding the intention of what the tasker, which is me, wants to know. And then your focus is
Mhm.
that you will receive feedback that will be posted on the computer. So your mind is actually going into the future
Mhm.
and perceiving the feedback, which will be in the form of a video. So you'll be in your mind, you can direct yourself, go to the video that will be posted on January 11th and sketch and describe, all the details, anything I perceive in that video. So, and that's the column of words that you're going to write. They're going to come in, if you keep it in low level, like
Mhm.
if something is, uh, if you're looking at a tree, you don't want to call it a tree. But if you do perceive a tree, and that comes to you, oh, it's a tree, then what I would ask is that on the right side of the paper, you're going to have two columns, and on the right side, just write the word tree. Um, because we don't want to get stuck on a tree and start going down a wrong path. So you just
Mhm.
put it on like you did a set aside. You
Mhm.
put the tree over there and just kind of forget about it and then just describe like vertical, tubular, however a tree is looking. You just describe what comes to you by asking those prompting questions, reminding yourself to engage your senses. Um, of what's at the target.
Okay. And now when people sign up for your class, we're going way down the rabbit hole as far as
Yeah.
techniques deployed, and you as the tasker have a great many other protocols here. I know we're not even talking about the specifics of what maybe the room should feel like, what you should have eaten the night before. It gets very detailed
Yeah.
when you start to go down this
Hmm.
road. It isn't just you sitting with a blank piece of paper no longer. Is that correct?
For the class, you mean? Yeah,
Yes.
yes, there's a lot. Yeah, this is just kind of a quick and dirty way to just get a feel of what remote viewing is. And people, I'm telling you, people are shocked at how good they do just by this. They're just like, I did, like,
Mhm.
just I get so many emails after we do an experiment like this that they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And, that's the
Uh-huh.
only way to prove to people, or not even just prove, because we already know it works, but to prove to themselves that
Right.
this works. The other thing it's good for people that feel like they're sensitive or psychic or whatever. There's so many different words. They'll get information spontaneously. What remote viewing does is kind of controls that, because a lot of people are like an open antenna and they get information even when they don't feel like getting information. It just
Right.
pops in their head. This protocol, there was a lady that I work with. She I think back in the 70s, she was a psychic detective before it became very popular. Now, back in the 70s, and she asked me to teach her remote viewing. So that she can kind of, uh, narrow it down to the times that she wants to work and the times she doesn't want to work. And so that was very helpful for her. And so it's kind of like turning it on and turning it off. It also, remote viewing will help you dig deeper into details. If people that are psychic and they give readings to people, this will put you in a state where you can get even more details for people. So it's
Okay.
it's pretty cool.
All right. So just to wrap things up here, we are going to assign a target number. And then, folks, once we get that target number, you're free to do this on your own. And what I would ask is maybe rewind the tape from this point forward and listen to what Michelle spoke about as your tasker. Now, if you want to send in your remote patrol, your piece of paper here on what you've done, it'd probably be best if you just did a screenshot and sent me the actual slip of paper, especially with the drawings and such, and then I will preserve those. And you can send those to strangebrowradio@gmail.com. And in the subject portion, put remote patrol and contest, remote patrol contest. And then come January 10th, we'll need those submitted, and Michelle and I will come back on here and tell you who came the closest. And then she's got some swag to send your way once we decide who's in first place. And there'll probably be something for people that got close, hopefully me. And then we'll go from there. So, Michelle, go ahead.
That's hard. Well, I was also going to say, if you don't do a screenshot, you can use the online scanners. That's what we use. They're free. There's Adobe and Scan, all those, and you just take a picture of it. And it's so easy. You just email it, scan and email that. And also the last thing is to make sure that you write legibly so that we can read your words. So those couple of things. Okay. Are you ready for the target number?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. It's 9056 3491. 9056 3491.
90563491. I didn't know this was going to be a Social Security number you're going to hand out here. I thought maybe we were going to have 2 digits. Okay, so this is going to be.
We do. Yeah, it's an 8. So we do the 4 digits, a space, and then the other 4 digits. That's kind of the formula. So it's 9056 space 3491. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's very funny. It's yeah.
And again, you pulled that number out of your head, right? That means nothing to you.
It was. I actually use a random number generator, so it's not even from my head.
Okay.
So it's actually a computer generated number.
Okay.
We could play the lottery with it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it has a multi-purpose. But yeah, this dials right into this really cool, exciting target, and just sketch and describe everything, even if it's crazy, weird. You're going to regret if you didn't write it down. So write everything down, anything that comes to you. So, it'll be great.
Okay. Perfect.
I can't wait to see these sessions.
All right. And if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email at strangebrowradio@gmail.com, and I'll try to put something up on strangebrowradio.com regarding everything Michelle said. And maybe I'll be the first one to post. Now, if I feel like I'm done with a session, should I just hold on to it, or can I post it and make it public as far as just me, reaching out to people, or should we just all keep this private?
Right. We can post them after January 10th. That way, we want everyone to kind of remain blind.
Okay.
So this way they'll get, other people's sessions and want to, our human nature is wanting everything to make sense, and we're looking for approval. But these are big things that we learn in remote viewing, is to how to overcome those things. So you also go through a personal growth through the process.
And if people want to get in touch with you again, they can go to, is it butterflyeffectcenter.org or .com?
.com. So butterflyeffectcenter.com.
And the class starts January 18th. Is that your start date for the new class? And this is a 6-week course?
Yeah.
and
It's a 6 week.
$410 if they get in by the 10th of January. After that, it goes up to $450, and it's darn near
Mhm.
2 months of somebody's life. So you're going to invest in this once a week, correct?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's 2 hours a week. It's, a little more than $50 a class.
Mhm.
And also, if any, I don't want to turn anybody away because of money. So, if you're having an issue with money, just contact me and we can discuss other forms of payment and things like that. So, it's more important that if you're willing to
Mhm.
take the class. So.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here, Michelle. Again, butterflyeffectscenter.com, and you can catch Michelle doing the Lord's work over at Midnight in the Desert with Dave Schrader, probably close to 7 days a week. She's a hard worker, so I'm sure you got stuff going on in that world as well as this. And hey, Happy New Year, and thanks for coming on the show. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you and everybody out there.
All right, you have your instructions now. At least go grab a piece of computer paper and rewind the tape. Follow through with your tasker's request with number 9056 3491. Or I guess it's 9056 3491. There's no technical dash. That is our task number. And if you want to play, well, now you know how to do it. I hope to see you guys come through by the 10th of January, and let's see what we get. Just send me a simple screenshot. You know how to do that, I would imagine. And if you don't, ask your grandkids. I'm sure they do. Or your newborns. As I said earlier, I think I mentioned, I hope I did, that January 4th, 2020, we have Mary Bethune, and she's going to be at the Manresa Castle. She's our premier guest for 2020 from 7 to 10 at night. So if you are in the Pacific Northwest and want to get out of town for a while, you've had enough eggnog. You've heard your mother-in-law screaming down the hall about the tinsel falling off the tree. Now is your chance to reward yourself with a trip to Port Townsend, Washington. Why wouldn't you? You can find out more about that by going to strangebrowradio.com and where Manresa Castle is, or you can just look it up at manresacastle.com. And Mary Bethune's information is also on the website. And if you can't make it, well, we're going to do a podcast from there anyway, but you won't be able to see anything unless you are a Patreon member. So thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/strangebrowradio. We've got at least 3 new members in the last week. That is very helpful. And they will be getting, at least most of them will be getting the video content. And why do I say most? Because there's a 2-tier thing. Extra video for 1 tier and podcast, and then on the other tier it's just extra podcast. So check that out at our Patreon channel. All right, that's it. I'm probably going to bless the folks with another podcast here. So look forward to that possibly coming out before Sunday. We'll see what happens. I'll try to push out number. I was going to say push out a number 2, but that just is not going to work out. I already said it though, so there you go. All right, that means it's time for me to go when I start talking like this. And I will see you in the trees.